seriously, not a bad joke, honored to be here. And I will try, since I talk too much, to keep it short. This is more some introductory remarks to give you an idea where we are. So, where are we? I like to flirt with quantum mechanics, but what fascinates me is how to apply notions of quantum mechanics, superpositions, collapse, and so on, to social events, to history. And my basic idea is this one, while still, in some sense, a radical leftist, but be warned, my official self-designation is now a moderately conservative communist. I will explain why. I think that what we have to leave behind is this either liberal or Marxist dream of a history which, even if you say, yeah, it's contingent, it may not happen, which points in a certain direction, like with Fukuyama, we had end of history. Fukuyama is not an idiot. Now he is for Bernie Sanders. He saw that that doesn't function. Or we have orthodox Marxists who thinks, yeah, there are some complications, but nonetheless, communism is in the future. And, you know, even if they mask their determinism, like the famous saying by Rosa Luxemburg, the future will be socialism or barbarism. You know what she missed. In Stalinism, we get both at the same time, no? Socialism. So my idea is this one. You know, this basic idea of quantum superpositions. A particle goes, I simplify to the utmost, from point A to point B. But to understand what happens, you must presuppose then that in this, let's call it, virtual state of waves, particle takes all possible routes, and then in one it collapses. And I think we are today in such a moment. Who knows where we are going? We know that we have 3-4 deadly threats, crises. Ecology, war, immigration, I mean population movements, and so on. I will not go into it, but the key problem is how they will interact. Like, some people think that if ecology crisis goes even in a more terrible direction, then there will be less wars. I'm not so sure. It's completely open. So my idea is that we are now in a state of superpositions. It may be some new socialism, it may be new barbarism with islands of civilization around it, murderous violence. But now comes my bad news. You can ask me questions later. I think that makes me sad. The most probable result will be what I call, not that I like it, soft fascism. By soft, I mean not direct Nazi fascism killed them, but simply what? The best definition of fascism is, for me, a conservative revolution. That is to say, you want to participate in the capitalist dynamic, fast development, but you are aware, many intelligent fascists knew this, you are aware that left to itself, free capitalism and liberalism can end up in social disintegration. So the idea is in economy capitalism, but controlled by a strong state, which legitimizes itself by a reference to some mostly invented, it doesn't matter, traditional religious but not necessarily religious ideology. You know, now I will maybe hurt some among you, but you know who is here almost my model? I closely follow what goes on there. China. I read, people don't notice this. 2 months ago, Xi, their leader, gave a speech, and he began with, our youth is not educated enough, we have to train them ideologically. Then I expected the usual stuff, read more Marx, Mao. No, he said Confucian tradition. We need that tradition to hold things together. Modi is doing the same in India. Extremely brutal capitalism, but, and so on. This is, if you ask me, for the majority of the world, the most probable direction. So history is not on our side. Another thing that worries me extremely, I don't know if you noticed it, is that more and more states are so-called rogue states. Now, don't be afraid. I will not use this term in the usual Western developed imperialist way, but who is today a rogue state? I propose a very simple definition of a rogue state. You have a certain legal structure, laws, police, and so on, and a rogue state, one of the approaches, is the state where the existing order cannot reproduce itself legally in its own ideological terms and needs a support of brutal illegal violence. The first idea that comes here is, of course, Haiti, where the state fell apart and even more now than 80% of the territory is run by gangs. But why remain there? Let me go to the, for some people, highest points. What about Russia? Wagner Group was a typical half-legal, illegal military group, as we learned now, totally financed by state, but nonetheless kept at some distance from power. Then, let's be frank, till now the mask has fallen, settlers on the West Bank in Israel, they were following Israeli laws themselves illegal. And that's the tragedy of Israel today. Itamar Ben-Gvir was condemned by Israeli courts some 20 years ago as a racist criminal. Now he is a minister for, of course, security. Even in the United States, look at all those groups which are in this mixture today at the same time, anti-Muslim and anti-Semitic and all, like Proud Boys and so on. Trump keeps them at distance, but nonetheless manipulates with them. This is the true failed state. A state itself cannot reproduce itself in accord with its own, not just ideology, but legal premises, and so on. So we should be aware of this radical openness of the situation. It's obviously that our situation today cannot go on indefinitely. But the situation is not predetermined. We don't know how it will, again, to use in a simplified way the quantum terms, into what single reality will it collapse. I don't have now time to go into my favorite Hegelian topic, because I think that Hegel was aware of this, of what? Of retroactivity, in the sense then that when a certain version takes place, retroactively, it doesn't, of course, change the past empirically. What happened, happened. But the narration, the way we perceive the past changes. We are all the time changing the past.